Hello and welcome. I'm Adri Gregan, and I'm back for more Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. We're getting into episode 10 now. We're finally in the double digits, and last time Gojo got sealed. And also, Geto turned out to be not Geto in a crazy twist, a brilliant betrayal of the audience's expectations. I'm really excited. Clearly, this is like the divergent point, the point where effectively one of the antagonists' win conditions have been met, and really all bets are off. The heroes are going to have to do pretty much everything they can to not fall further behind than they really already are. I really like the way that this arc has been building out so far. It's JJK did a great job, or I suppose Akutami did a great job answering the question of what happens if you send in the strongest first. Because obviously in most stories, the strongest are the last to arrive, right? The strongest one is there to be there at the darkest hour when all hope seems lost. They arrive. And that might still happen here. I've got a feeling that our biggest win condition is releasing Gojo. But it's rare that our trump card is sent in first and is dispatched first. So our characters are going to have to struggle with what happens when that happens. It's kind of reverse Sans. Our protagonists here are learning why you don't start off with your strongest move. What if they counter it? What if they shut it down? Then what? And I think the situation will quickly devolve, and we will have to answer that question. I do think Yuji and everyone in the Meiji Shrine is likely gonna follow Mahito over here, and that's how they'll get involved. Everyone else is probably gonna come in from, well, outside the veil, because we're in Tokyo. The Kyoto people, I'm not sure. I wonder if they'll get news of this and they'll just come running as fast as they can. But really, after that, we don't know what not Geto's plan is from here on out. I suppose I can just call him Brain for now. We don't know what Brain's plan is. Like with the Shibuya incident. I assume the big next step is getting Yuji or Sukuna on their side, because that's the other big win condition. But how they're going to do it and whether they will prematurely celebrate that Gojo has been handled remains to be seen. But I'm not in the business of predicting the future, of trying to see where things are going to go. I'm in the business of analyzing the present, or I guess technically past. Reacting to the present and analyzing the past afterwards. That's my forte. So we'll get into that, and I won't waste any more time. Now, quickly before we get started, if you do enjoy the video, please do hit the like. It shows me that you enjoy it, and it shows the algorithm that it should show it to more people. Same thing with leaving a comment and subscribing, except subscribing helps you as well, because it lets you get notified whenever a new video comes out. I'm planning on finishing JJK Season 2 by the time Season 3 starts. I think I might be like a week behind or so, but I'll catch up pretty darn quickly. I should be caught up by episode 2, if not 1. So that's really exciting. That'll become a weekly show, and then y'all can help me decide on what I'll be watching next alongside Freerun. So subscribe and get notified when that happens and to take part in that. But with all that YouTuber housekeeping stuff out of the way, let's hop into Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 10. Let's see how the Shibuya incident devolves from here. CPO mode high. Whoa. Is that? That was a Mekamoto face, right? Yeah, they've got the little... No, its mouth opens up too. That's super cute. What the heck? Yeah, Mekamaru. What the heck? Wait, is that actually him? Oh, piano track again. I assume that's not actually Mekamaru, probably just a, I don't know, is it a recording of his voice, or, I don't know. Ooh. I do think that Geto's still in there. Wait, what? Is he that much in there? No way. I wasn't expecting it to be that soon. Wow. For the body to fight back. Hmm.
見てくれ。君は魂は肉体の先にあると述べたが、やはり肉体は魂であり、魂は肉体なんだ。でなければこの現象にも入れ替え後の私の脳に肉体の記憶が流れてくるのにも説明がつかない。それって一貫してないといけないこと？俺とゲトウの術式では世界が違うんじゃない？
Are you sure we're not living in different realities? Could be.
いいね。素敵だ。
Very well could be.
やるならさっさとしてくれ。むさ苦しい上眺めも悪い。こちらとしてはもう少し眺めていたいが。
I wanted to bask a little longer, but yeah, the longer he's out here, the easier it is. The more time there is for someone to break him out last second. Ooh, closing around him. That is unsettling. Ugh. I don't like that one bit. Too many eyes. That's better.
これもう使えないんだっけ？ああ、定員1名。中の人間が自死しない限り使用不可だ。つまんな。ま、何は
He's the only one that you really needed.
封印完了。
Pandemonium. Now the real Shibuya incident can start. Oh, such a good song. Such a good opening. Oh. Can't believe I didn't recognize that was Choso. It's so embarrassing. Who was this random nameless sorcerer who I've never seen before in my life? Season 1 wasn't even that long ago. It's literally been a few weeks. I guess it's been like 2 months now since season 1, but no, it hasn't. It really hasn't been that long. It's been like 2 weeks. I have no excuse. Oh, this part really just hit different. So clean. All right, let's get into it. Yuji's turn.
あの五条悟だよ。何を根拠にそれを信じればいい？
悪いが何もない。あえて言わせてもらえば、俺がここにいることだ。俺はすでに10月19日、真人という特級呪霊に殺されている。今の俺は生前の俺が残した保険に過ぎない。
The insurance.
発動条件を五条悟封印後に限定せざるを得なかった。不発のリスクを低減するため、事前にこの傀儡を忍ばせるのも3カ所までとした。虎杖裕二は高専所属の術師の中で最も内通者の可能性が低い。そしてメイメイ、あんたもこの状況で完全に白と確信した。
なぜ？
索敵に長けている人間が渋谷で暗躍せずに明治神宮前に派遣されているからだ。虎杖はそもそも数ヶ月前まで呪術界とのつながりがなかった。
いやいや、体よく協力を拒むためかもよ。それにすぐに渋谷に向かおうとした虎杖君を今の今まで止めていたのは私だ。待機命令が出ていたとは。
ねえ、さま so smart.
あんたを始末するための呪詛師がここに向かっている。
First user. Choso?
1、2、 二人かな。虎杖君、こいつらと君がさっき戦った呪霊どっちが強い？
多分さっきのバッタより強い。
Okay.
虎杖君が払った呪霊は人を操っていたらしいし、少なく見積もっても準1級以上。そんな連中がうようよいるのか。今までどこで何してたんだろう。術師を無視して先に進もう。まずは五条君の安否確認だ。
ダメだ。もう渋谷の状況は変わっている。相手の結界術はこちらの数段上手だ。今渋谷には4枚帳が降りている。A、一般人を閉じ込める帳。B、五条悟を閉じ込める帳。C、術師を入れない帳。D、
You did mention that.
一般人を閉じ込める帳だ。
Okay.
この線路の先も C の帳で塞がれていると。
そうだ。すでに待機していた術師たちは帳の中だろう。帳の内側では携帯は使えない。
それだけじゃないみたいだ。帳外にいるはずの補助監督ともつながらない。
頼む。俺の指示に従ってくれ。俺のこの保険もすぐ消えてしまう。頼む。
Don't quite get how that works, but rolling with it.
わかった。言ってごらん。
虎杖は明治神宮前に戻り、地上から渋谷に向かってくれ。
From the
五条封印
surface.
を術師全体に伝達。五条奪還をこちらの共通目的に据えろ。
お、
メイメイは虎杖が抜ける隙を作ってくれ。呪術師撃退後はとりあえずこの線
Okay, so she's gonna face against the
だがまだ相手の出
first
方は
users.
臨機応変ね。ところで君の口座はまだ凍結されていない。
You're not gonna have any use for money.
消えれば呪術界も人間社会もひっくり返る。すまないが命がけで頼む。それでもいいと思っていたんだが、最低だな、我ながら。
ねえねえ、僕は
好きな方につけ。
じゃねえさ。
Of course.
みんな来たよ。
Let's see it. Oh. What in the world are
好きなまでいいよ。
those?
合わせるから。
おっ全員起きたね。
Ah,
さて
stepping out of it.
今後のどうした？
Is he still fighting back? What? It's crying?
物理的時間は流れてないってね。まずってな。
Bro, you are way too relaxed. What in the
な
world?
んとかなるか。
That's crazy.
みんな。
You can still mess with them from in there. Okay. 922.
駅に閉じ込められた分を差し引いたとしても人口密度低かったな。
改造され建物内に待機していた人間が今になって非術師を襲い始めたか。
だから我々も待機をやめ突入。仕方のないことですが、対応が後手に回りすぎです。だが一番気がかりなのは
同時に降りた術師を入れない帳ですね。五条先生が現着してからそこそこ時間が経ってる。なぜこのタイミングなんでしょうか。
中で何かあったか、戦略上このタイミングである必要があったのか。確実に言えるのは無策で挑んでくるタイプではないという。
What a visual.
私は帳を下ろしている。
They bided all this time after all.
二人は片っ端から一般人を保護してください。
Rescue mission. Okay. All three teams enter.
ええ、はい。状況を確認次第、新田さんはもう一度帳の外へ。中で電波が断たれる以上、
Nita, that was her
常
name.
に誰かが外にいなくてはならない。あなたにはその役をやってもらいたい。 今から補助監督役だけで何としても連絡網を確立する。
Wait, is that the Yuzo, I think his name was? Oh no. No! No! Not our guy! Oh. Oh, really? Oh, no.
やっぱ俺には弱い者いじめが向いてるな。これでいいんでしょ？
Ichiji. Oh, there's that person they mentioned back in season 1.
はーい。終わったら仲いいっていいよね。
The person they couldn't tell if it was a boy or girl. Episode 14, I think. There's just so much we don't know. So many unknown factors. Ooh. Found it. They've been listening in.
奴ら封印した五条地下5階から動かせない。
なんで？
五条悟だから。
It's reason enough.
包囲網を作るぞ。渋谷駅各地下鉄路線の隣駅から術師を向かわせろ。術師を入れない帳が上がり次第突入だ。
向かわせろったってイチチさんと連絡つかねえし。あ、
Ichiji.
ねえ渋谷には誰が来てんの？
Rest in peace to a real one. Ooh. Ugh. I don't like that at all. Okay, he's gotta face off against transfigured humans. Ooh. He's willing to do it. Ooh. Nice. Whew. Poor Koryuji, not bad. There we go, use your outside voice. Wow. He's got quite a voice to him. Nanami? Who the heck is that? Wow, just projected to the world. That's certainly one way to do it.
予定変更です。すぐに虎杖君と合流します。もし封印が本当なら終わりです。
Yeah. Oh. Hate to agree with him, but
術師が総力上げてここに来るよ。私はここに残るけど、みんなはどうする？
俺は弟の仇、虎杖裕二と釘崎野原を殺す。
Makes sense.
その後高専に保管されている他の弟たちを回収する。
釘崎とやらは知らんが虎杖はダメだ。少なにする。
Yeah, we need him.
ジョーゴ落ち着いて。やっぱ俺も虎杖殺したいかな。
Yeah.
何よ。
Figured.
五条悟の実物を見た感じさ。五条を封印した今、術師と呪霊はイーブン。スクナが復活すれば超優勢。ほぼ勝ちってことでしょ？まあ、
As long as he's on your side, that is.
今の戦力でも勝つときは勝つってことじゃん。虎杖殺しちゃおう。大丈夫。スクナなんていなくたって俺たちなら勝てるさ。
It'll work itself out.
本気と書いて大マジさ。
He wants to settle his score. I do think killing them is going to be... Killing Itadori is the best move for them, definitely. Very bold of them to assume Sukuna will just be on their side. Exactly. And that's what's more important for you.
死すら恐れず目的のために裏表のない道を歩む。それが偽物どもにはない呪いの真髄だ。
Ushering in a better world versus doing what you want to do. Desire.
違うって言ったのは呪いのあり方で、復活音自体はありだと思って。
呪いのあり方。
だからゲームをしようよ。俺が先に虎杖とエンカウントしたら奴を殺す。
Gonna make a race out of it.
ジョーゴが先なら指を差し出してスクナに力を戻せばいい。
俺が先なら俺がやる。いいな。
お、長宗も参加する？もちろんいいよ。ゲトはどちらかといえばジョーゴ派だろ？どうする？私は獄門鏡を見ていないといけない。
You guys do whatever you want.
遠慮させてもらうよ。好きにするといい。私にとってスクナは獄門鏡が失敗した時の代案に過ぎない。
Really? Oh, it was one or the other. Okay.
みんな五条を助けにここに向かってくる。ならばここで待てばいい。ゲームだ。
I don't know what you were expecting from Mahito.
呪霊の方が君たちより利口だな。
返せ。
Oh.
私たちはお前に協力し、サルドも
Oh, do they want Geto back?
ゲト様の体を返せ。
Interesting. Yeah.
これ以上もて遊ぶな。
He's the one we were following.
君たちの頭まで空っぽにした覚えはないんだがね。
Yeah.
次術師と約束するときは縛りであることを明確にするんだな。
Binding.
消えろ。それともこの体に殺してほしいか。
They just melt into the sea of bodies. Okay, so that's an interesting piece there. Interesting pieces laid out. They'll definitely be waiting for their opportunity. Okay, now what do you want? Is he just trying to make noise so they'll find him? Some other guy.
ゲトさんか。
And they've got that information too, yeah. Good. It's not full of liquor, special grades anymore. They're making their way out.
地下鉄の隣駅から攻めた方が早い。だがそのためにはまず帳を解かなければ。
Probably more of those little skull things. Don't forget what they're. Why do I keep forgetting what they're called? The nails.
外に出てイジチ君とそれらをすべて済ませてきます。3人にはその間に術師を入れない帳を解いてほしい。井野君、草壁さんや全員特別一級術師もこの帳内にいるはずです。合流できた場合、現状を伝えて協力を仰いでください。あの大声でもう伝わっているかもですが。
了解。
それから2人を頼みます。
はい。
You've got your work cut out for you. You know, that's his name. You know, you've got your work cut out for you, keeping these two in check. That's really not necessary.
五条家の失墜。五条家は五条悟のワンマンチーム。五条さんが聞かせていた融通かっこわがままで救われていた術師が数多くいる。虎杖、お前もその一人なんじゃないか？すねえ、軽いな。そういう連中がみんな困ったさんになってしまい、最悪消される。そしてその2、パワーバランスの崩壊。 五条悟がいるからという理由でおとなしくしていた呪詛師、呪霊たちが一斉に動き出す。その1で内輪がごたついているとき、その2の奴らとプチ戦争なんて起こってみろ。負けるぜ。
Symbol of peace in his own way.
少なくとも日本では人間の時代が終わるかもしれないですね。
分かってんじゃねえか。
Yeah, that's a good point. Geto, her brain really just needs to do nothing at this point. He really just needs to keep Geto sealed. The world will just fall apart on its own. The tapestry of all the different players. Yeah, this episode was called Pandemonium, but it's pretty clear that Pandemonium is what's about to happen next. All of these different factions, if you would, are going to come together and start vying for control over this veil, I suppose. This incident. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all... There's nothing better than a good bit of conflict between our antagonists, right? It's so boring when they're acting as like one undivided front. But this way you really see the individuality and personality of all of them. And the difference in like what they believe too. It's really good. I'll talk more about it in a minute though. In the meantime, I will say this ending is growing on me a good bit. It's growing on me a lot. Mainly its place here. Post credit scene. Oh, Osaka? Who are these? Ogami Baba? No way we're already getting those people who have been waiting for this. Oh, there are more of those screws. Okay, interesting. Got people watching. Seance. Alright, that was episode 10 of JJK Season 2. As expected, this is mainly the fallout of Gojo being sealed away. Seems like our pieces are falling where they may. People are moving in. Thanks to Mekamaru's failsafe, whatever that implies or whatever that means. It seems like a temporary thing that activated when Gojo was... whenever he was put down or sealed away, it activated. Interesting. I'm not quite sure what that means, but first things first, visual glitches aside, it's really interesting that Geto's fighting back. I did not expect this to happen so soon. I had a sneaking suspicion that this might be where we're going with this, in part to not completely invalidate the attachment we found with Geto up until now, especially with the Gojo's past arc. So the fact that he is still here in a sense, his soul is still here, is interesting. And it feels like that, it makes it feel like that there will be more, that there's a reason that we got attached to him as we did. That he's still there. Who knows, maybe even see him like speak again. Or we may even see his thoughts again. But in the meantime, this is just yet another thing that's not quite working out as Brain expected. I'm sure he's not. He seems more excited, though, by the idea of, oh, I didn't expect this to happen. How interesting. Rather than, oh, this is complicating. Because it makes sense, right? He's basically already won. There's not much reason for him to get frustrated that his body is kind of leaking out of his control in a sense, because, I mean, he's won. Little things like this don't really change the equation at all. But as a result of this, we revisit a conversation we haven't really talked about in a while since the Junpei arc. That the soul exists before the body, but it seems that they are both intertwined. They're both together. I assume in a sense that because the body died, so the soul should have moved on in a sense. It should have been released. It shouldn't be still attached to the body if the soul exists before the body. But since the soul clearly is still residing in the body, the two are intertwined. They're attached. They're both one phenomenon in a sense. And that's interesting. Or the fact the body's memories flow into my brain. I mean, that's pretty explicable. You still... Well, I guess no, because it doesn't have his brain. Yeah, the memory should be in the brain. So if you're getting their memories, then perhaps it's a lingering drug of the soul. And then Mahito takes this in an unexpected direction. Does that have to be a universal truth? That could just be how your world operates, and mine is different because I have a different technique. I mean, we all have different innate domains, right? They're saying technique, but you can really extend it to just the innate domains, the individuality of each person. The fact that they all have like internal worlds of their own to their own degree, whether they can all use domain expansion or not, like encapsulate it. They all, to a degree, have their own little pocket dimensions, you could say. Maybe not literally, but even just in the individuality of their techniques. It's a more literal take on the concept that everyone lives in their own reality. That each person, it's not even just that each person perceives the world differently, but each person lives in their own reality in a sense. And not in the way, I don't mean to say that like we all live in a simulation and that every simulation is different. Each person is the main character of their own simulation. Simply that there's no way to prove that we all live in the same reality. In the way, it's in a similar way to if you've seen the Star Wars movies, especially the prequels, unfortunately. For the Jedi Council meetings, a lot of times they'll have holograms up, and they'll all be in the room together, but they'll all be in their own places. Not quite like that, but kind of similar to that. The idea that all of our own realities are kind of overlapping, like film, and they're all overlapping to create our reality. And in that overlapping, we're able to interact. But we all exist in our own reality, which is slightly different. There's not really any evidence for this or some substantive way to like prove this or really say anything about this, but there's not really a way to disprove it either. You can say that we all perceive color differently because of our different perceptions, but it's a leap of faith to assume that what I see is what you see. You could say people of religion or people of faith who like have religious experiences, who are like visited by God or by their savior. You could say this even supports that the fact that they can see something that other people can't quite be tied up to perception. And you could say that's like a quirk of their brain, but you can't prove that. You are assuming that they are not perceiving an actual reality. It could just be those overlapping realities that lead some people to see some things while other people don't. That's also something you could, again, just attribute to perception, the different senses, but I think that runs it a little bit short. I like the idea that we all live in our own worlds. And the idea that we own, in this world, of course, with their own techniques, it kind of enhances the idea of their own realities. Because you see with domain expansions, you see with innate domains, they really do have like mental worlds. They really, literally do have worlds unique to them that no one else has. And I like the thing that this does sometimes where it hides Mei's face as she's talking because it's just like covering so much of it. So from a slight angle, it's just a blob of hair. And then an insurance policy, apparently, advanced insurance, that activated after Gojo Satoru is sealed. I'm not quite sure I track how this works, whether this is like just... I mean, it's obviously not a recording. He's talking in the moment. So is it like a copy of his personality in a sense? Like he has puppets that are temporary because obviously they don't have the original Mechamaru's body to like feed them energy. So are they able to like operate with his personality like a copy of him so long as the puppet operates with its limited abilities because it doesn't have something feeding it? I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure I've got more than enough people in the comments who are gonna clear it up for me though. Oh my god, the visuals are really struggling here. But regardless, we've got Kurt Caesar's coming, and then Mei is here to hold them off while Yuji goes and informs everyone else, which he does. We learn there are 4 veils. I suppose specialized veils because each one of them, specializing them allows them to, well, be specialized, allows them to do their job best, and also to kind of be isolated. So someone doesn't just break one veil and then suddenly it's just gone. It's good to have all these different ones, especially since you can apparently you don't need people to set up veils. You can just have cursed objects that are like anchoring them. You've got money, right? The literal world is at stake. You will not have money ever again if you don't do this. Money itself as a concept will break down. And then Gojo's still fighting back because of course he is. And there's a whole lot more planning. They decide to step in because Gojo has not been responding. It's been some time. And then, rest in peace, Ichiji. He's a real one. We're going to miss him. This freaking guy, do not like him. He's weird. And then we finally meet this person. I think this is the first time we've seen them talk. They've been referenced to. I forget who it was, but somebody was talking about seeing this person not being able to determine their gender on the beach. But yeah, there's just so many different characters, so many players, and the end credit scene offered even more support to that. The fact that there are just people watching, waiting, seeing what happens, like vultures, waiting for the dust to settle, see what happens to Japan, to Tokyo, to the world. Because obviously the outcome of this battle will just have rippling effects, indeterminable rippling effects. It's clearly a watershed moment for the not just Jujutsu Society, but just the world in general. And then Yuji has to fight against some really freaky. I really don't like how they look. I think those are transfigured humans, not curses. Sometimes I get them mixed up. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference, but those didn't quite look like curses. So, and I'm pretty sure they were bleeding red, right? I think the only I'm pretty sure Mahito is the only curse we've seen bleed red. So those are transfigured humans, which he's willing to fight and kill. We talked about it before, but he doesn't want to. Parkour Panda doing a Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit. But we talked about it before that Yuji is obviously willing to do it. He will do what he has to do, especially when he's like actually on the ground. But having killed transfigured humans does not mean he's suddenly okay with it. If anything, he'd like to avoid it if he can. But if he can't avoid it, then he's willing to do what he has to do. And that's a very good quality of his. It's very important. Because otherwise it can be taken advantage of, right? And then now we get some conflict. What's gotten over me? I almost said his name. Volcano Head obviously wants Sukuna to awaken. Trapping Gojo is a big part for victory, and it's obviously what Brain wants, but Volcano Head actually has surprisingly, despite himself, despite everything you'd expect, he actually has ambitions. Not ambitions tied to himself, but tied to curses. He wants that world where curses and humans have swapped places in society, where curses stand above humans and they stand as the pinnacle that they should be, that they should rightfully be. In order to do that, awakening the King of Curses, Sukuna, is essential. However, Choso and Mahito have grudges and scores to settle. Choso to avenge his brothers, Mahito because he's just got a bone to pick with Yuji, and it is mutual. They care a lot less about this new world. In fact, you could argue that neither of them really care at all about this new world. So it makes sense that they're going to argue here, and that they're at each other's throats. Why wouldn't they be? And it makes it so much more interesting. And then Volcano Head points out the elephant in the room. Getting Sukuna out here and awakening Sukuna doesn't really help us necessarily. It doesn't mean that he's on our side, especially since Fushigudo's on their side. Sure, Sukuna will probably kill a few humans, but to think he's just going to be on your side because your curse is, Sukuna's not about that. It's not going to work in your favor. He is true chaos in human form. Literally, I guess. And then Geto doesn't really care. That was just an alternative in case the prison realm failed, which it didn't. And then we get yet another group. These two who are followers of Geto, who we saved in the countryside. We saw in the movie. We didn't really see them in the flashback arc, but yeah, they clearly want his body, but they're smart enough to not fight him. So they're biding their time. I've got a feeling that's going to be very important once things reach a fever pitch. And they're probably not going to do anything in the meantime. They're going to wait for their chance. We need to meet up with other people who are in this veil, and so we can all fight together. But of course, there is a lot hanging in the balance. Oof. Look at all these. It's interesting that some of them are... That's just how it was, right? Yeah. Oh, no. It was an effect. Okay, I was going to say some of them are grayed out, some of them are not. I think it was just a effect of how it was going. Yeah, they're all just lighting up. Okay. Let me just see if I can... There we go. Yeah, look at these. Okay. What a great episode. What a great setup for what's coming next. I can't wait for it. I hope you're excited for it too. If you are, please do subscribe to get notified when it comes out. I watch them pretty much every other day. It's going to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are JJK days. Saturdays are for My Hero Academia Vigilantes, and then the other alternative days, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, are going to be for Freerun. So if any of that interests you, please do subscribe. Join me on my journey to catch up with this in time to start watching it live. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really excited. Things are really heating up. We're really in the depths of season 2 now. So, and I can only tell that things are going to devolve more and more. And Shibuya incident clearly isn't going to be like a climactic point per se, but it's very much a watershed moment. It's very much the first big moment of the story, or I guess the second. The first big one was Yuji awakening Sukuna, but I would argue this is the second major shifting point in the story where the balances are shifted, and this is what everything's been leading to. So I'm really excited to see how it plays out from here. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like if you enjoyed. If there's something in the episode that I didn't talk about or that I passed over that you want me to talk about more, or if you want to bring to my attention, or if there's something I said that you agree or disagree with, or some context you want to bring around the show itself, please do leave it in the comments. I would love to open discourse with you. But yeah, with all that housekeeping out of the way, and until the next time, wherever I see you next, have a lovely rest of your day.